Hello and welcome to the third program of our series of How to Get a Divorce. This program is presented by Collaborative Divorce Solutions of Orange County, a nonprofit organization whose mission is to assist families who are going through the difficult process of divorce to go through in a more peaceful and healthy fashion. My name is John Ellingson. I'm an attorney, I'm a mediator, and I'm a collaboratively trained professional. Our first program gave information about the four methods or processes by which people could go through a divorce. The first is the do-it-yourself process. People can get a book, they can go down to the courthouse, to the self-help center. They basically do their own divorce case and do their own paperwork. The second method is the tried and true method of going through a divorce with lawyers. They each hire a lawyer, they take their case to the courthouse, a judge decides the issues of money, property, and children. The third process we talked about in our first program was mediation. The parties themselves sit down with a trained professional who acts as a neutral and assists them in settling their case. That person is often a lawyer, but does not act as the role of a lawyer representing either of the parties. The fourth method is called collaborative law, or collaborative practice. It's a team process. The model involves the parents. Each party has a coach, a mental health professional to help them. The team includes a lawyer for each one of the parents, and it includes a child specialist and financial specialist. Together, this team of professionals and the spouses work with each other to resolve the issues in their case. Today, our program is going to center around the interests and the needs of children. We're going to talk about how children are affected by divorce and how that process can be controlled by the parents. I have two guests joining me today, David Kuroda and April Winter. David is a licensed clinical social worker. He has a mediation practice. He is a collaborative divorce professional. He's a member of at least 24 different boards and committees and professional organizations. He has written extensively, and I looked at his resume earlier. It's 3 pages single-spaced. For several years, he was the division chief of the Mediation and Conciliation Services of Los Angeles Superior Court. April is a mom of 2 kids, is divorced, and has actually gone through the collaborative law divorce process. So I thank both of you for joining me today. David, I have a question. How are children affected by the litigated divorce?
You know, it's divorce itself is not what damages children. It's the way children go through a divorce when their attorneys are fighting in court. So I think the litigated divorce is something that is very, very damaging to children. And when I was with the court for those 18 years, I saw case after case where the litigation process itself really hurt children and families.
Are there alternatives that you think are less damaging to children than the litigated process?
Well, you know, John, some of the basic changes in family law were, first of all, no-fault divorce, and then mediation, mandatory mediation. And the third big change, I think, is collaborative divorce. And that involves getting divorced without the necessity of going to trial and staying out of the courtroom.
Mm-hmm. April, you went through a divorce case. One of the most difficult processes people can go through, and you went through a collaborative divorce case.
I had an email sent to me with a link in regards to it. So I kind of researched it, and at first we were looking towards mediation. Did a few interviews, but came to the conclusion that the estate was too large to do that. So kind of popped the collaborative process in his ear and talked about it and thought, well, this probably will be the best way to go.
So somebody listening to you may have a question that would be, well, why not simply hire a lawyer? This process, the litigation process, has been around for a very long time. Lawyer tends to take care of you, represent you, advocate for you. Why not hire a lawyer and let the lawyers worry about the case?
Because it turns ugly, and we wanted to do it with as less conflict as possible. Our personalities, we were not type of people that were going to get ready to go through a war. We knew what we wanted to do, And once we decided to do the collaborative process and sign on to that, and we got the process going, we would sit down pretty much every night and hammer out numbers, figures, put a game plan together, because ultimately it's about the kids.
See, John, April, she and her husband did have lawyers, and so in the same way as a litigated divorce, she was represented by counsel. The difference is that they all signed a pledge to not go to court, to settle this case without appearing before a judge and having somebody else make the decision.
David, earlier you mentioned that one of the big changes in the law was back in 1970 when the law changed for no-fault divorce. And people hear that term all the time. But the practical consequence, as a lawyer myself, a lot of times it seems that the story that people have, the difficulty that brings them to the brink of divorce, they feel compelled to deal with that. But in the litigated case, the courts don't seem interested in that.
You're right. I've heard many times parents say, you know, David, I was in the courtroom and I was wanting to tell the judge what happened in our divorce, and the judge and the lawyers told me it's not relevant. In collaborative divorce, we listen for that story. We ask about the divorce, and it's in the telling of that story, and it's in being understood that parents are able to then work out plans for their children.
April, without talking about the details and the issues in your case, because those are certainly private and confidential, in your collaborative divorce case, did you feel that the concerns that you had, the things that you felt were important to you or for your kids, did you feel that there was a forum where your feelings and your voice was heard?
Absolutely, and that's where the mental health coaches came into play. We would gather together if crises were starting to happen and things were starting to boil. Somebody would make a phone call, get on the line to our coaches, pull a meeting together, and sometimes that included the two of us, David and myself, and the two mental health coaches. And that way we were able to talk amongst each other, get the emotions out, deal with everything face to face, and by the end of the time or the session, everything was just mellowed and back to normal again.
Some crisis control.
Yes, absolutely.
So another question that has come up in the past, people who are considering a non-litigation alternative, whether it's mediation or collaborative practice, sometimes have a fear that, well, what happens if I'm not able to reach an agreement? What happens if I think my spouse is not acting appropriately? Can I then go to the court? Can I just say, that's it, I'm done? Were you concerned that the agreement that you signed states that you'll settle your case outside of court? You can't run to court if something goes wrong? Were you bothered about that?
No, neither of us were. And again, because we were willing to work with each other and come up with our plans that was going to be necessary to get us through this and to benefit the kids.
John, you know, the threat of going to court often is used as a weapon against someone to promote settlement. But I think if you take that weapon away and say, we're not going to go to court, we're going to settle this through a series of meetings, that I think facilitates the resolution of that divorce.
So you spent years with the Los Angeles Superior Court. Do you have some input for us of what judges and litigation attorneys think of or view mediation and collaborative practice?
You know, judges and lawyers are looking for a lot of help. The courts are overcrowded, and I think judges are always happy when parents can work out plans for their own children. Lawyers often tire of fighting each other, and they sleep better at night when they become involved in collaborative divorce. You look much more relaxed now than I did than you did before.
Thank you very much. I thank both of you. We're going to go to break now, and we'll resume. Thank you very much for joining us on How to Get a Divorce.